But yeah, how are things, and how nice is it to be looking at what looks like a cup run?
Well, I'm not sure about that at this early stage, but yeah, our cup record is not amazing. We've had a couple of little spurts, where we have got a bit further, and then fell. So, yeah, I mean, we got through the first one. I thought we delivered a good performance. A few changes to the team. There might well be that again, because we are limited at the moment. So I don't think there'll be massive changes, but we might have James Tarkowski back again. I'm going to confirm that with him today, because obviously I've just walked in here. We're training this afternoon, then travelling down to London. So to give you a view of that, some of the young players are itching, of course. Jimmy Dunn's played, of course, and scored a good goal. And so, yeah, there's a few that may get a chance. But going back to the game, never easy in the Cup. Certainly not easy going down to Millwall. I know that, having been there. Slightly different with an empty stadium. That doesn't guarantee anything, but slightly different, I think, from the feel. The normal feel of Millwall is slightly different, obviously, without the fans, I feel. But no, I know, Gary's teams are always hard to beat. They've done very well last season, I thought, and I'm sure it'll be a big challenge.
Just on the weekend, I mean, you seem pleased with the performance, but albeit you're kind of doing pre-season in front of everybody's eyes, aren't you, almost?
Well, I think we are stretched, and I think the competitive edge of the performance was very good. It's one of them strange things, the expected goals ratio, which I don't judge by, but, just flicked up on Match of the Day, and I think we had double theirs. So I did feel on the night we created some very good chances. But Leicester are still a good side, so don't get me wrong, I'm not taking anything away from the fact of the scoreline. But the point is, it bodes well if you make... I think we had 16 efforts a goal, 15 efforts a goal in an away performance, and a number on target. So that's a good sign. Obviously, we've got to tighten the detail up at the back. We are a little bit stretched and good in a sense that people are getting a feel for it and a chance, some of the younger players particularly in the squad. But it is... it's asking a lot of some of them to come in and activate straight away in the Premier League. So we need to find that balance going forwards. And part of that, before you're probably going to ask me from outside of these walls of our building, inside, getting players fit, of course. And I think Tarky, I'll find out more this afternoon, has got a chance. Barnes has made really good progress, played a bounce game the other day, scored a couple, looking really well. And we're happy with the way we've dealt with him, because he still needs a week's training, I feel. But he's certainly looking like he's getting closer. Bit better news on Johan. It's still, I mean, he's not going to be days, but it could have been very, very serious. How it looked at the incident. Ben Mee's making progress, not there yet, but making good progress. And then Corky's behind them. So there are some signs. There are some more positive signs. We do need them players fit as quickly as possible, but fit and well in a proper fashion that they can continue and affect us.
Mention kind of outside now. I'll mention outside now. It's less than 2 weeks left for this window. The other day you said you didn't think you were close to anything. Has that changed? I mean, Dale Stevens is a name I'll throw at you, and I know what you'll throw back.
Yeah, we always get names thrown at us, so that's not a problem. But yeah, no, there's nothing. There's a couple of things that are maybes, but the point is not like where I'm, on the cusp, not like where tomorrow morning, there they are. But it's still, I'm still not sure the guidelines from the chairman and the board, so I'm waiting on that and what they want to do. And like I say, it's strange in the lockdown, people sort of change my words around, like I was having some sort of, dig at everyone. I wasn't. It's just a fact. It's always been a bit like that. It's not new news. So it's always a challenge here. So once I get that, can we get these things done? That's helpful, of course. So we're still waiting on that.
You sound and look a little bit more optimistic, though.
Well, I don't think I wasn't optimistic. I was trying to be truthful. The problem is when you tell the truth, people often spin that to positive or negative, which is fine. That's part of the media's role. I get it. Not a problem. But the truth is the truth. It's been there for a long time here. It's always a difficult task. Every window has been a massive, massive challenge here. And it continues to be that. It's just probably heightened because of the lockdown situation where we did let players go when we still had games to play, obviously, and we haven't affected that bit. That's probably, the bit where people are talking more. It's not new ground for me. It's just always awkward and it's tough. Couple of weeks, we'll see what happens. But it's very rare, if you look down at history, we've been first in to get players. It's the way the club operates, the way the chairman and the board want it to operate. So we have to be patient. We have to keep our ears and our eyes open and keep our ear to the ground of the market and hope we can get the players in that we think can affect us. I've got to be honest, I enjoyed all the different challenges at all my clubs, one way or another. Learned a lot from my career, both as an individual, as a person, and about the game and about the profession. So, but I fit there with a lot of players, a real good fit. I still speak to so many of the lads from there. We had a Zoom call after during the lockdown, and they had a couple of beers. I obviously just had a lemonade, and just shared some old stories, and made a bit of fun of each other. good times and good times at the club at that time as well. And I hope for them to have better times coming forwards, because they had a good season last season. Neil Harris, I thought, did a great job. Gary's a really good manager and doing a good job there as well. So beyond our game, of course, then I hope they do well.
And you made the point that the Den, perhaps with no fans, is maybe more of a neutral venue than with fans.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't been down there for a number of years just because of what I do, by the way, because, I get invited to various things there. And for all my ex-clubs, I try and do what I can when I can. But I just haven't managed to get down there. But, from my memory of it, and when we're taking teams back there, there's always an atmosphere there. And they get behind the team. Sometimes go against them, but usually, in my experience, they get behind them and there's that edge to the stadium. But I don't think that... I think all teams are getting more used to this at the moment. We hope it changes for the right reasons, of course, with fans coming back in. But at the moment, I think we're all getting used to it. So I don't think it'll necessarily have a massive impact on the night. We've got to make sure we perform as we know. And
I think the draw, the way it's Man City next, maybe is a greater incentive to them than it is perhaps to you, even though it is an incentive.
Yeah, I mean, it's a different kind of incentive, isn't it? The difference is that their idea of going for a cup run, going to a game at Man City, if we had our full hit and full contingent, that would be obviously more appealing. At the minute, we are stretched. So do we want to win the game? Yes, we do. We always want to win games. I thought that was evident on Sunday. Even though we are stretched, I thought the mentality to try and win the game was very good. And we want to take that into this one. Whatever comes of it, we'll make sense of it then.
And just a couple of final points about taking the knee. It's a debate at the moment. We've seen the players do it. I mean, Les Ferdinand spoke very passionately yesterday about taking action rather than just sort of doing what's been done so far. Where do you see it? And is it down to the players rather than the management?
I think so. I mean, I left it last season with the players. They had I had a discussion with them, but then I said, look, inevitably, I want to be guided by you. It's the diversity of football is there for everyone to see. If it's recognised through doing that and the players want to do that, then that's absolutely a given. I think Westy asked the other day, just check with the captains or whatever, and they agree. The idea of taking action, I think everyone is looking for what action comes from it. I think Mark Warburton made a point of how long, do you do it for like a week, a month, a year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years. So the guidance on that. So I think that's probably different for the players to decide. But at the moment, we just get on with it and ask the players, basically. And if they're happy to do that and they want to do it for the right reasons, we know that how well we've spoken out through Ben Mee and myself and the club in general. Then if that's appropriate and the players want to do that, then it's absolutely cool from me. No, with all due respect, I don't really like the term banana skin. I mean, we've been beat by teams on paper that are lesser than us, but at the end of the day, the respect of football goes out to everyone as far as I'm concerned. And we're all a good outfit, They were good under Neil Harris, they're good under Gary Rowett, they look a good outfit. So I certainly don't try and use that word for them because it almost belittles them. If they perform well and they win, that's the way it goes. We know that we'll have to perform well to beat them. And that's the challenge, regardless of our stretched, situation. The facts are the facts. That's the group of players we've got to take down there. Our job is to win a game. Yeah, possibly. I played, sort of half my career in Division 1 and 2, the other half in the Championship, or mostly. I can't remember what the split was. But the fact is that, I know enough about football to know no game's an easy game. It's simple as that. You see it all the time about cup competitions, mainly. I think we all agree in football, it's not a fact, but cup competitions give a different feel. It's that one-off hit. If that team, with all due respect, we've had a couple of knocks from teams that were considered way beneath us. At the end of the day, if they were playing every game in the Premier League season, they'd probably find it hard. But on a one-off hit, we've all seen it, a raise in performance, maybe a drop in the other team's performance, sometimes the luck of a moment, a decision, etc., etc. It can happen. So the only thing you can do is get a team out that are going to work hard and take on the challenge. And if we perform well, then we think we've got every chance. If we don't, my point is, then credit to the opposition. It's not, I'm not going to, certainly not going to belittle other teams and say, well, they're not as good as us and all that. I've always been gracious, I think, in the teams that have beat us who are perceived to be smaller than us. I've hoped to be gracious at least and take that knock and move forward. It doesn't really matter, my opinion, because the scientists are out there, the specialists are out there. I can't give an opinion on that. They must have good reason to be making all these changes and opening up, shutting down. I can only presume there's people in the right slots in the government who are making these decisions. From a common sense point of view, then of course we'd like to see people living more freely, forgetting about football, just living more freely, and of course working more freely, because we're all aware of the impact of what's going on at the minute financially, and And if it carries on too long, we're all probably aware it's going to start not just affecting companies, that's going to drip feed down to individuals and lives, in general. But there must be a reason why these things are being put in place. Therefore, we go along with it. I'm certainly not in a position to decide on the science and the medicine that's needed to correct things. There's other people a lot more intelligent than me, I can assure you, who are going to be making them decisions. All right, okay. Well, if the Premier League can do their bit to enhance the chance of other teams surviving, when that is needed, possibly they'll step in. But then if you're going to apply that rule of thumb, does that mean every hedge fund manager that's incredibly successful, are they going to filter that down to the hedge fund managers that are not so successful? Are the restaurants going to filter down? Are the bars going to filter down? So the ones that are surviving, are they going to look after the ones who are not surviving? So you can't just measure football on its own. There's lots of different businesses out there that are making huge sums of money that could therefore protect the similar lines of business but lower down in their business streams. So if you're going to apply it to football, I think you have to apply it across the country to everyone and every business. Then you've got a balanced and a balanced look at it and a view that is fair, I think, across the board. So I don't think you could just go, well, why isn't football doing this? Or if you're offering why isn't football doing this, or if that's the question, then I think you've got to look across the whole of the country, possibly the world, but certainly our country, and say, well, if it's right for football, they've got this money, they've got to spread it around. Then businesses that are incredibly successful, then they've got to spread it around. Of course it's different without fans. That's my point. Of course it is. But we can't, I don't think the Premier League are in a position to govern the science of the world and the country. They can't make them decisions. So I don't know where the power lies as regards what they are allowed to make decisions on. But if the country are all saying, or the leaders of the country are saying, no, we've got to be careful, we've got to calm down, we've got to go back sort of a step, well, then we're going to have to go with that. So does it affect the feeling in the stadium? Quite obviously it does. Does it affect your own emotion to it? Slightly. Not when the whistle blows, because your focus just purely goes on the game, but the build-up and around it, and even living in the area where I do, well, two different areas, but people talking to you about it, that has changed. All I can say is, of course, we all want it back to normal, or as normal as it can get. We don't know what the new normal will be, but we want fans to be part of it. We want fans to be in stadiums. We want our players to be out linking with the community and doing their things when they can. They're all the things that make football what they are, not just the bit on the pitch. That's my point. There's a lot more to football, as you well know and I know, than just the bit on the pitch. How it ripples out from the pitch and any given performance is massively important to so many people. The quicker we get back to that, of course, would be better, but it has to be under the guidelines and it has to be safe.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Simon. Alex, Lancashire Live.
Hey, Sean.
Oh, yeah.
Just a quick one on the injuries. I don't think you mentioned Robbie Brady there, unless I missed it.
No, sorry, you are correct. Yeah, as we thought, unfortunately, he has got a bad knock on his ribs. He's got a very minor fracture. So it's more... That doesn't actually affect the injury. Whether you've got badly bruised ribs or a minor fracture doesn't actually affect it. So it's not displaced or anything. It's just there. We knew he was struggling. There was a moment when he got 1-2'd and he couldn't hardly run back, and that's why we took him off. And he was quite simply or quite obviously struggling. So all we can do is, it's really a pain thing, how quickly the pain reduces enough where he can carry on. But it certainly won't be, for tomorrow.
Okay, and just one on the recruitment side of things. I know you said you were sort of a couple of maybes, I think was the phrase you used earlier on. Just sort of confident that things are moving and progressing in the right direction as we get closer to the deadline date? No,
I'm never truly confident because I've spoken openly about this for many years. It's a particular way that we operate here, and it's a big challenge. So I don't think I'm truly confident until I can see a player in an office signing a form. Because we've even had that go against us, by the way, a player who's literally doing that and then went to another club. So that can be the complexities of our time, or my time here, with working with the board and the chairman to get things done. It can be tricky, as I've mentioned many years and many times. So I'm never overly confident until the moment of truth when that player arrives down here in this building.